And moving forward, when you think of football, you're always going to think John Madden.
One time for old times. What do you say we play some football as we are underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy game? And it's a pretty good return here as he'll get this up to the 29. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And, Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden, this is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
They start on the ground here at Sanders. And he'll hope that this is not a sign of what's in store as he has to fight just to get back to the line of scrimmage. So as we mentioned at the top, well, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And, you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over in Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. He played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, the draft had 30 rounds then.
Throwing is far. Well, the pressure gets home, and the AFC comes up with a sack. And that'll bring up fourth down on a big sack with a loss of 5. They're indeed going for it as they look to throw, escaping the pressure right. And this is caught, but they say out of bounds. It would have been a first down, but he couldn't stay in, and as a result, they're going to have to give up the football. So they take a big chance here in their own territory, and you think the coach may have some questions to answer?
Yeah, and, you know, normally we focus on the media, right, the social media barrage that he's going to get for this one. How about on his own sideline and in his locker room?
Yeah.
Because I think the team's going to look at him like, Coach, why would we go for it there? I mean, no confidence in the defense. You don't like the punter. I mean, what's going on here? You owe us some explanations.
On 1st and 10, here's Brady. And he's going to be taken down here. A sack back at the 32. William the Refrigerator Perry gets him for a loss of 8. What great push up front. Well, the very first thing they told us, Charles, was we need to apply pressure early. And I would call that early pressure a nice sack to start the game.
And on the other sideline, I just have this image in my mind of the head coach on the headset with the offensive coordinator asking him if that's exactly what he saw in his mind when he called that play. And if so, is it going to be like this all day? That's a tough one right there.
Under pressure, they got him again. The Fridge, William Perry. Now 2 sacks for him already here in this first quarter of play. Someone came to play today.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. We heard about it all week, didn't we? Especially when we visited practice. He thought he had a good matchup in front of him, and he's taking full advantage right now.
So certainly in a pickle here. They have a mile to go to try to pick up the first. We'll see what they've drawn up. Now on 3rd and long, they'll look to throw. Throw left side complete. That's Gonzalez. And they're going to work this down to about the 32-yard line.
Brandon, a good idea there on 3rd down. Run a little clear out and hope you get your receiver the ball coming across the formation. Nice design, but well played defensively, and they stop him well short.
On now is Vinatieri as he'll try the field goal. It'll be a 49-yard attempt from the left hash. And it bangs off the left upright and deflects away. It's no good. And this will remain a scoreless game. So plenty of leg, but it's the accuracy there that lets him down.
Yeah, he hit it really well. I think this might have been good from 55. But you'll see it just conk off that upright, and they're denied a chance at 3 points.
It'll be Sanders to begin the drive. And he's out of bounds just before the midfield stripe at the 49. Well, Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st-round draft pick back in 1958. Was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp. Actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles. You and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail. And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Norm Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons. He coached with the Vikings. And he's there during that time. I think Coach Madden realized his love of football and love for teaching, combining all that together, and that meant being a football coach. So in 1960, began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock. There he goes, left side. Touchdown. George Kittle, 51 yards. And the NFC has taken the early lead. Well, that's pretty impressive, Charles. It's one thing to be an elite speed wide receiver and have all that yards after the catch into the end zone, but from your tight end?
Yeah, you don't get that very often. What you're describing is more like a Tyreek Hill, a Devontae Adams, and Antonio Brown. You're not talking about a guy that lines up or can line up in line and look like an extra tackle on running plays. He took that bad boy downfield just like he was a scat back.
Before the game, he told me, I'm going to have a zinger or two today. And I was like, a zinger or two? I guess that's a zinger, right?
That's a zinger.
And that is off the left upright. It's no good. Now he's back out there to boom this one away, maybe with some frustration after the PAT miss. No run back here for Hall, and this will come out to the 25. The offense for the AFC set to go now. Yeah, they were in field goal range the last time out, but couldn't connect.
And it's early in the game, so I don't think that the confidence just goes entirely out of, running your kicker back out there. But let's face it, some coaches have a little bit less patience for that than others. Let's see if they call the game differently now in terms of what they do on drives and not try and settle for field goals.
They'll come up now 2nd and 4 from the 31. They run the draw play. Allen. 6 yards the pickup, and that's a first down. Charles, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, 1967, Brandon. Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. We had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date for the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon, John Madden assumed the mantle of head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And what a ride he, the Raiders, and the NFL were about to go on.
And he'll be taken down, but not before he gets into enemy territory. Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. In 10 seasons as a head coach, the Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second the other 3 times. And he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, the franchise leader in wins.
And when you think about it, that's where that rivalry with Kansas City really took root, as did the expression commitment to excellence. And boy, was it personified by the players who played for Coach Madden. On offense, how about quarterback Kenny Stabler, wide receiver Cliff Branch, wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff, tight end Dave Casper, to name a few. How about those great linemen he had? Center Jim Otto, guard Gene Upshaw, tackle Art Shell, all of them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And guys on the defensive side of the ball, the Mad Stork himself, Ted Hendricks, Willie Brown, John Matuzak, Otis Sistrunk, and Big Ben Davidson. So many great players, so many great memories.
Into the red zone, it's Brady. And a big loss here as he's taken down. Reggie White on the sack there, showing the explosiveness that led him to the Hall of Fame. These sacks now, they're starting to pile up, Charles, and that front 7 defensively, they've had their way with this offensive line.
And I think at this stage, we have to start thinking about different play calls. We've got to start helping this quarterback out because the entire game he's been under siege. I don't care what the down and distance. They've got to get the ball out of his hands a lot quicker.
On the toss, here's Allen. And he is going to lose yardage here. They lose 2 on that last play, so things get even tougher. 3rd and long coming up. Charles, you think about all the success that John Madden had as an NFL head coach, and he had plenty, and we talked about it, including the 10 straight winning seasons, a Super Bowl title. But like any great coach, he also suffered through a few tough losses along the way as well.
And Brandon, those tough losses came in high-stakes games because they always had such great success. Think about it this way. 6 times in his 10 years, the Raiders were knocked out in either the AFL championship game or the AFC championship game. But it might be a divisional round exit. That's the one that bothered him most of all. 3 River Stadium, December 1972. Yes, the Immaculate Reception game. Franco Harris grabbing the ball that was deflected. Almost at his shoe tops, he picked it up and took it in for a game-winning score to give the Steelers a 13-7 victory. And partner, anyone who loves black and silver still doesn't believe that ball hit anyone in black and silver that day, and that play should never have counted.
Throwing now is Brady. Feeling the pressure here and taken down. A sack back at the 7. They'll wind up losing 3 yards there on the play as that'll lead to a 2nd and goal. So that now 4 first-half sacks. This pass rush has been unrelenting.
And partner, you hear that sound of paper being ripped to shreds? That's the game plan that they've had so far because they've got to say to themselves right now, we have to do something differently.
Now from the 7, here's 2nd and goal. To throw is Brady. Now he'll dump it underneath to his running back. Complete. Touchdown! Marcus Allen. A 7-yard touchdown grab. And his guys are an extra point away now from taking the lead. Now Adam Vinatieri for the point after. So he missed his lone field goal try, but he's got this one as that extends their lead. That one in the books as a 12-play drive. And it ends with an AFC touchdown. And here's Vinatieri now to kick it away after the touchdown. from the 6. And a nice return sets him up pretty good here right at the 30-yard line. The NFC offense coming out here. And you know, Charles, Coach Madden always said that if he had one drive to win a game and he had to pick a quarterback, he would pick Kenny Stabler. But I think if you asked him to omit any of his Raiders players, there's a good chance the guy he'd select would be Brett Favre.
Brett Favre is always smiling. He's always laughing. He's always talking to someone. He remembers that it's a game. And if it's a game, you should have fun.
And Brandon, that always reminds me of a great movie line where one of the players...
And that's caught inside the 30. And he'll be brought down at the 27.
Well, partner, I'm not sure how this drive's going to end, but how about the way they flip field position there? A nice attacking play. They picked up a heck of a chunk of yardage.
On 1st and 10, it's Sanders. And they'll get him down after a pickup of 8, 2nd and 2. Now another timeout called for by the offense as they'll stop it with 13 seconds to play in half number 1. So on 2nd down, the field goal unit is on here as they try to get 3 before half. From the left hash, it's a 36-yard attempt. Anderson's kick is good, and they jump back in front here. It's 9-7. The drive ends in just 3, but they'll take it. Looks like they'll head to the locker room, barring something unfortunate in front on the scoreboard.
Yeah, they may not be jumping up and down and celebrating because they have the lead, but still, any little momentum in a game like this is important to a team, and they'll feel real good about going in and regrouping, knowing that they are out in front.
And not much happening on the return as he'll get this to about the 23. The AFC offense heading back out. You know, Charles, Coach really loved to utilize his tight ends in the passing game. You think about Dave Casper, Hall of Famer for those great Raider teams. And I think he saw a lot of Dave Casper in an all-Madden staple, Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is the type of tight end I think everyone's looking for. He's a guy that can make some big plays from that tight end position. Let me tell you, you better make sure you have him accounted for on every play.
And that's exactly right, because Dave Casper, he could shred defenses down the middle of the field, and that's exactly...
So we're at halftime with a John Madden legacy game, and now we present a special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by the Raiders' own Trey Mosley.
What comes to mind when you hear the name Madden? Is it the coach who led the Raiders to their first Super Bowl victory? Perhaps it's the broadcaster who entertained millions of fans. Or maybe it's the video game known simply by his name. But no matter what comes to mind when you hear the name Madden, everyone thinks of one thing. Football.
The core of it was football. It's the greatest game in the world. The left goes to right, right goes to left. Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real.
History of professional football. Show me somebody else who did it on 3 levels the way John did it. There's nobody.
Boy, Charles, yeah, that is really well done. Coach was something else, wasn't he?
I'm reminded what Al Davis said when he was inducted coach of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Brandon. He loved the game. He loved his team. He loved the Raiders. He loved this league. And you can see it with everything he does.
No doubt. But it's quite possible, though, that now he would say, hey, enough of that. Let's play some football. The second half forthcoming from Oakland. The AFC offense set to take their next drive. Charles, it'll be interesting to see what adjustments this offense made in the locker room. Haven't really been able to get anything going offensively. Virtually nothing in the ground attack either. So certainly something has to change here in quarter three.
And I'm pretty sure their friends from the defensive side of the ball told them exactly that, because those guys, the stop troops, they've been playing pretty well. They've kept them around in this game. Now they've got some time. The running game struggled in the first half. Opposition knows how to focus on defending the pass here. They've got to re-energize that ground game and maybe open things up for a comeback here in this half.
On play action, it's Brady. He finds his man, complete. That's Gonzalez. And they're able to get this one across the 35. So from the 36 now, 1st and 10. Here's Brady. And that, nearly picked off. It would have been a great time for their first interception of the game. Instead, it's second down. So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42. He had just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, he was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember, he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
He'll set up the screen to Marcus Allen. And he's able to get up here to the 26. They'll get only a yard out of that, and it'll bring up 4th down.
Good reactions there defensively. That screen was a little slow in developing, and they shut that one down with little gain.
Here's Ray Guy now. And surprisingly, this is the first punt of the game for either team. And he gets it away. A directional kick going toward the sideline. And no return here. Where will they spot it? They say just outside the 20-yard line. Now the NFC heading back out. Hall of Famer Randy Moss, a part of this offense. And Coach Madden, boy, he always appreciated the ferociousness with which number 84 attacked the football in the air.
As Randy Moss says, just chunk it up there, dog, and I'll go get it.
And, Coach, boy, did he ever go get it. Over 15,000 receiving yards, 156 touchdowns. And how about this? From his rookie year of 1998 until 2009, those are his prime seasons, right? He led the league in touchdowns 5 times, but even more so, he showed us all how to go up and get it. Great body control. No one's ever done it better playing the ball in the air.
1st and 10, it's Favre. Flushed out right. He'll get this complete to Cooper Kupp. And he takes us beyond the 35 before going out of bounds. So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went on and called 8 Super Bowls together. But how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the head coaches and the quarterbacks and the stars of each team before a ball game to get extra information. And the way that those two paired together, Pat Summerall, Short, concise, to the point, and turned it over to Coach Madden to fill in all the big details.
Third quarter of a 2-point game. A good one so far. Here's 2nd and 10. Here's Favre to throw. On the run, he'll let this go deep right side. Touchdown! Randy Moss, 62 yards. And the NFC is in for 6. As he was shuffling right out of the pocket, you could just tell he was going to take a shot downfield. He had his eyes down there the whole way.
He certainly did. He wasn't taking off to go, right? When he was flush from the pocket, a lot of times you see him, eyes will drop, ball will get tucked, and he takes off, becomes a running back. But as you noted, stayed alive as a passer, tremendous body control, and a pretty good arm there, too.
This time, the extra point up and good. And that makes this a 9-point game. So they only needed 3 plays on that drive. And it's finished off by an NFC touchdown. Following the touchdown, here's Anderson to kick it away. And Hall not going to bring this one out. The offense for the AFC set to go now. Over on the sideline, hoping to hit that reset button between possessions. Last time out, they had to punt it away. This time hoping to finish this thing off in the end zone. And this has been a familiar sight all afternoon as they stop him behind the line. Tackle for loss by Lawrence Taylor. As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you talk about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him, and now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like turducken on Thanksgiving, when he used words like boom and pow. He helped create the old Madden team. He was a very popular commercial pitch man. And even the Madden Cruiser was unique, and you had to be someone to get a ride on it, too.
Throwing is Brady on 3rd down. Open man is Andre Reed, complete. And he'll go down, and that will do it for the 3rd quarter of action. So through 3 quarters of the John Madden legacy game, it's the NFC stars and young Coach Madden on top. And we'll be back to the Coliseum after this. Brady's throw there complete. They'll wind up getting just a yard out of it, and it's 2nd down. To throw, it's Brady. And he can't find a receiver, and he's brought down. Credit the great Michael Strahan with a sack.
Remember, throughout my career here in defensive coaches always say, guys, you got to earn the right to rush the passer. Well, they put themselves in a great spot with this big lead, and they know they've got to throw the ball.
These pass rushers have to be salivating. It is pin your ears back time indeed. This offense so far on 3rd down, they've converted 3 out of 5 thus far. This will be 3rd and a mile. Now a carry for Allen. And he is going to lose yardage here. A loss of a yard, and it brings up 4th.
There's no question that coming into this game, this defense is pretty vocal about its desire to take this running back out of his game. And all that pregame wolfing has turned into results.
Now Brady got to have this one. And this is caught. It's Brown. And he is going to be taken down with a big gainer there on fourth. And the AFC going to keep the drive alive. So on the other side of the field now, it's 1st and 10 as they've got things rolling on this drive. Meanwhile, Brady's throw into the hands of Gonzalez here. And he's got this down to the 35. Now, CD, we did get a little ahead of ourselves talking about John Madden, the broadcaster in the 90s and 2000s, because there was another product during that time period that he became quite famous for, and it's something that you and I know a little bit about, and that's the video game that bears his name. Originally John Madden Football when it was first released back in the late 1980s, and now known the world over simply as Madden.
And Coach saw this originally as a way to teach the game of football. The early designs were for a 7-on-7 game, but he said no chance. He would not sign off on it. He wanted to be as realistic as possible. He told him, call me when it's 11-on-11. And he got his wish.
Yeah, after that debut, Madden the video game continued to pick up steam through the 90s in a big way. And John himself, many will remember, was a commentator for the series for many years. And now here we are in the 2020s, and this game has sold somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 million. And he takes this one into the end zone, and all of a sudden, here in the final minute, things get a little bit tighter.
I'm not sure win-win is the proper term here, but it certainly felt like it. They got the touchdown they needed. But if I'm on the defensive side of the ball, okay, you got the touchdown, but it sure took you a long time.
Yeah, because offensively there, you're probably hoping for a 1 to 5 play drive. That one ate up a little more time than they were hoping.
You're exactly right. And if you have that 1 to 5 play drive, you actually build up momentum and even more hope. When they had to slog their way downfield, they got the touchdown, but it's almost like, yeah, you know,
doesn't feel right.
Exactly.
And this is going to be recovered by the hands team. And that should just about put a capper on this one. Well, fourth quarter, they felt like they needed the football back. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it.
And I know we brought analytics into the game, and someone has said here that the data says that when a team's expecting an onside kick, 80% of the time, the team expecting it, they do actually recover the ball, which is what we saw here. I just wonder if that number is much more of a anecdotal type of a number. Kind of like when the coaches tell us, well, when you score on special teams, 93% of the time you win the game. I'm still waiting to see that number is empirical.
Line of scrimmage, the 31 now on 1st and 10. Now it looks like he'll throw here. And that's going to be incomplete. Too tough to hold on to that one. It's 2nd down.
Well, this has certainly been special. And, Charles, as we wind down toward the end of this John Madden legacy game, your final thoughts?
Well, let's face it, partner, it's going to be hard to overestimate the impact that he made, not just on the sport of football, but on his family, friends, players, co-workers, and in the lives of millions of Americans who watched him. There will never be another John Madden.
And this one incomplete. Too much contact to hold on to that one, and it's 3rd down. Now they face a 3rd and 10 after back-to-back incompletions.
And they go play action with Farr.
And he can't get a throw off. He's taken down. What a huge play at this point in the game. So a big one coming now for Morton Anderson. This to at least make it a 5-point cushion. And he'll try and throw here on the fake.
He's got it. A lot of work to get to the 1st down marker.
And he is going to be out of bounds a mile away from that yellow line, and that will become a turnover on downs. The AFC offense set to take their next drive.
The last time out, they had to march almost the full length of the field for their touchdown. So here, much easier, Charles, with this better starting field position.
I love your sarcasm, but I love even more your observation, because, look, what they did last time out, now with a shorter field, they should have a lot of confidence that they're going to put more points up on the board.
Here's Allen. And he can only manage to get a couple. 2nd and 8 count.
So it's a win here for the NFC. Just an incredible afternoon of football and remembering the life of John Madden. And before we go, one final message. And for all of us at EA Sports, this one's for you, Coach.